Welcome back, boxing fans, to another live with Sean on Boxing. Today, we're rewatching Lomachenko versus George Kambosos Jr. Obviously, we just had Tank Davis have a spectacular performance versus Frank Martin. And the conversation is that these two fighters are going to be running into each other next. And that would be fantastic. My fingers are crossed. Let's hope it happens. So stay tuned. Let's watch the fight and discuss it. Because I can't show it, because some reason I can watch it on YouTube, and that's okay. But if I re-show it and then talk about it, somehow I'm doing something wrong. Explain that shit to me. But you will have a few minutes to find the fight and watch it along with me. So get to it, and I'll get back to you. Welcome back, boxing fans. So I got my beer. This was a beer one of my coworkers bought for me when we were on an outing. I didn't drink it. So I might as well get to it now. Monday night, fight nights. Gotta love fight night on a Monday. So right now we're looking at Kambosos and Lomachenko both being introduced to the Australian crowd. Obviously, we've all seen this fight, but it's always interesting to rewatch fights and get a different perspective on them, especially now that we know the outcome and emotion does not overwhelm us. Obviously, I'm a Lomachenko fan, so I was emotionally invested in the fight. Mad Chad's in the house. Welcome, Mad Chad. Obviously, some of the questions now are about Lomachenko and what can he do versus Tank Davis. Obviously, he's a 36-year-old. He's not what he once was. He's in his third weight division. And obviously, we've seen him get hit a little bit more to the body and things of that nature, which is a concern. We're just having them face off right now. Fight is about to begin with their Japanese referee. Also amazing, what's up? I couldn't sleep. Well, here it's only 8:11. This has saved me. Wayne Evans is in the house. Cheers, Mr. Newton. So we're about to get ready. You can watch this fight on YouTube, which is illegal for me, but not illegal for them. Lomachenko's stretching. Kambosos is punching himself in the face. They're both getting prepared for a good fight. And we're off. Round one. Obviously, when we saw this fight scheduled, we knew it was going to be a good fight, a fun fight. Stylistically, you had two fighters that were aggressive, that brought the fight to their opponents, and that was going to make for an entertaining fight, even though most of us felt that Lomachenko was the better fighter and would school and beat Kambosos. But we thought that a long time ago. Back in the day, when Kambosos was the number one mandatory, and was going to be forced to fight the winner of Lomachenko-Lopez, everybody knew that was the next fight. So people that talked about Lopez ducking Haney, they're full of shit, because the Kambosos fight had been ordered before Lopez and Lomachenko even fought. And at that point, we all knew that Lomachenko would beat Kambosos. When there was talk about Lomachenko going to Australia to fight him for unified titles, we all knew Lomachenko was going to fight him. The question now is his inactivity, his age. Is he going to be able to do what we thought he could do previously? So far in the first round, Kambosos is going to the body, which was a smart maneuver on his part. We know that Lomachenko has been prone to getting hit in the body because of his high guard and his splayed elbows, which is one concern people have for a potential Tank Davis fight versus him. But his footwork, his feints, he's doing the same thing basically that Tank Davis did to Frank Martin, pressuring him by not even throwing a punch, but using his feet to get him against the ropes, feinting to get him to throw and open him up for counters. Good straight shots from Lomachenko. Kambosos going to the body well. So far, the fight's unfolding competitively, and both guys are obviously doing what they thought they would do. The question is, who can make adjustments and move forward. And, that would seem obvious. Nice left to the body from Lomachenko. Kambosos' face is a little red already. The interesting thing, and this is what people are talking about with the Tank Davis fight, if Tank Davis can move Lomachenko backwards, obviously that's going to be very beneficial for him. But at the same time, if Lomachenko can move Tank Davis, the counterpuncher, backwards, that's going to be obviously a big point for him as well. Good shots from Lomachenko, ending the round with combinations, crisp punches. Good fight, but I say after the first round, you probably have to lean towards Lomachenko with the edge. So what's everyone saying? Smash the likes. This was Loma's easiest fight. Hey guys, do you Salido Loma rewatch next? I did that before. It was on my old channel because obviously that's a fight where Lomachenko should have got the decision. Loma was sharp here. He was. Loma looks better than I've seen in years against Kambosos. If he carries this form into the Stank fight, he wins. Loma smoked him like rolled weed. Yeah, but stylistically, obviously, Kambosos is a different fighter than Tank Davis. Tank Davis is a very good counterpuncher with great speed and power. Kambosos is not a hard puncher, not a fast fighter, not a great counterpuncher. His strength is being a guy who pushes the pace. And against Lomachenko, he couldn't do that because the feints sort of kept his guns in the holster. Round 2, and we're off. I feel like Tank was getting touched too much by Martin to not get touched up by Loma. Well, we know he's going to get touched. That's obvious. Lomachenko is going to hit Tank Davis, right? We know that. And being a southpaw, it's not going to be a straightforward fight for Tank Davis either, which is why many people think he fought Frank Martin just to get a bit of comfort against a southpaw opponent so that when he does fight Lomachenko, he's going to be that much more comfortable getting into the ring. But the part with Tank Davis is his power and counterpunching. Nice left hand by Lomachenko. This fight truly is one of those fights where we say, there's levels to this. And ironically, instead of just giving Lomachenko credit for being a 36-year-old who went out there and dominated and destroyed Kambosos, people still look for ways to discredit him. Because, of course, you can't give a non-black fighter any credit, can you? Nice jab by Lomachenko. It's going to be interesting because Lomachenko is so used to fighting bigger fighters where he has no advantage as far as size and length. Him against Tank Davis is a pretty equal fight, right? Tank Davis is really a 130-pound fighter like Lomachenko. So, there's not going to be so many disadvantages that Lomachenko has to deal with. You know who challenged you? Challenged me. Challenged me for what? Tank put Loma to sleep. Well, talk is cheap. We saw Tank Davis fight Isaac Cruz and did not put him to sleep. And Isaac Cruz is not the technical boxer, skilled fighter that Lomachenko is. Tank Davis, a counterpuncher, is going to bite on Lomachenko's feints, bite hard, which means early on, Lomachenko is going to hit Tank Davis with some crisp, clean punches. And historically, I felt that Tank Davis would get frustrated and quit at 130 because bullies don't like to be bullied, historically, right? Nice left hand, straight punch by Lomachenko. See, those shots are going to piss Tank Davis off. But Tank Davis is dangerous. He showed that he can time guys and that he can land big punches. And obviously, that is the fear when you fight a power puncher. That's always a danger, always. Sean, do you know who Get the Smoke is? He swore he would win a debate. His words, I said you would school him. Tank isn't nearly as skilled as Loma. Sounds like you got Loma, Sean. No, no, I don't got Loma. At this point, I favor Tank Davis, but I do think stylistically this is going to be Tank Davis's toughest fight. That doesn't mean he's not going to be able to potentially counterpunch Lomachenko and stop him. You have to give him good odds for that, especially since he is prime, 29 years old, at his peak right now. I mean, we have to be honest, right? Tank Davis is literally at his peak. Lomachenko isn't. I know people like to say that this was the best they've seen Lomachenko, but this was against a guy who was a 9, 10, 11, 12 best lightweight in the world, who doesn't really have much power and any natural advantages really over Lomachenko. He wasn't longer, he wasn't really bigger, and that kind of showed in this fight. So here we go, round 3. Lomachenko leading with that left hand straight down the middle. The dangerous punch for Tank is going to be that uppercut for sure, because Lomachenko has a high guard as well. So that punch could be something. But I'm sure Lomachenko and his dad, they're going to be aware of that, and that's going to be a punch that they focus on. They should be coming out with that George Foreman type of thing like this, just to take that away. Yeah, of course it's the toughest. It's just unfortunate that Tank Davis ducked him for 7 years and is now cherry picking him. But it's still a great fight. And if he wins, great victory. Nice right hand from Kambosos, short right hand. One thing I've noticed about Loma most recently, specifically after the Lopez fight, he doesn't go to the body nearly as much as he used to go, which is kind of disappointing because he was a great body puncher. And I think in fights with guys like Tank Davis and Haney, if he goes to the body a lot more, that shit could really play dividends for him. Sometimes you just need to change up your style to show people different looks. And I know at 36 years old, that might be hard to do, but, it's something you may need to do. Kind of like we saw Sugar Ray Leonard and Muhammad Ali do in their careers when they got older. George's face is red. He's taking a lot of straight left hands. The thing about Lomachenko, I think a lot of times he doesn't get full credit for his combination punches and the punches he throws and lands. And I think that's why he got fucked over in that Devin Haney fight. Nice left hand. Nice left hand. Also, my man made a good statement, Tim Bradley, saying that Lomachenko really has to fucking put the pressure on in the 12th round as well. Against Lopez, against Haney, he took his foot off the gas, and it potentially could have cost him in both of those fights. Loma is 36. Not old at this time, especially the way he trains and takes care of his body. Well, he's old because he's been fighting in the amateurs, 400 amateur fights. That takes a toll on you, the training. He has a lot of miles in his body thanks to his amateur career. Why would a young lion challenge a prime lion? That's what Canelo did. Why would a young lion challenge a prime lion? That's a sad question, to be pushing that kind of narrative. When I tell people Tank ducked Loma, I get a response that Loma ducked Burchelt as an in-house fight. He didn't duck Burchelt. All those dudes literally ducked Lomachenko at 130. That's why he fought Sosa, the WBA regular champion, because he's the only champion with a belt that stepped up and actually got stripped of his WBA title. Crawford is 36 and people say he's in his prime. Nobody says Bud Crawford's in his prime. Like, come on, man. Like, you saying that, Alex, you know you're lying. Because nobody is saying that Bud Crawford's in his prime. Bud Crawford's legs aren't what they used to be. When Bud Crawford fought Spence, people focused on his age. So stop with that, because that's pure BS. I don't see what people see to say Loma is old and going to lose to Tank. Not that he's old, but he's 36 years old. He's not in his prime anymore. His prime was when he was at 130 pounds, right? That was his prime. Obviously, this version of Tank Davis at 29 years of age is in his prime, and he's jumping on an older version of Lomachenko. Like, I don't understand why people just can't be honest. Just be fucking honest. Is that difficult? Is it difficult to say that Lomachenko is not prime at 36 years of age? Like, science would tell you that. Nobody said Floyd Mayweather's prime at 36 either. Nobody said Manny Pacquiao was prime at 36. You're not prime when you're a 36-year-old. If you're not 30 yet, maybe you're delusional and you don't understand that. But once you hit 30, you will understand that fucking fast. Am I seeing something that's not there? He whooped Haney only a year ago. Well, he didn't whoop Haney enough to get the decision, right? And we saw Ryan Garcia whoop Haney. And nobody thinks Ryan Garcia is great. I'm not trying to downplay Lomachenko. I think he's still one of the best 3 lightweights in boxing. But you got some elite fucking lightweights with Tank Davis and Shakur Stevens, 2 fighters in their prime, right? It's like if you had Lomachenko at 28 years old, he was in his prime. He was Lomachenko at that time. Sean, you ever been to Okinawa? I haven't been to Okinawa. I was supposed to go to Okinawa. I was also supposed to go to Japan, but I ended up hurting my back and I couldn't go. So my girlfriend and her daughter went with their friends, and I went to the hospital and then just came home and slept on the bed for a week for my holiday. So I want to go. I was planning on going to watch one of these Inui fights, but unfortunately trying to get tickets is very difficult. It's not straightforward at all. So, I don't know. Maybe I just need to be better at doing research, which is probably true as well. But this is what happens when you're Generation X. I need all you millennials and young Generation Z people to do the research for me. Set me straight. Why do people think Estrada has no chance versus Bam, as if he doesn't have footwork or can counterpunch as well? Well, I think one reason is because Estrada has been out of the ring for well over a year. If you're trying to fight a guy like Bam Rodriguez right now, where he is in his career, if you've been so inactive, it's going to be a tough fight because you're not going to be as sharp as you need to be. And we've seen Estrada do that before. We've seen him come into fights where he wasn't his best. The first time he fought Quadras, the first time he fought Rungvisai. When he rematched those fighters, he was way better, way sharper, and just way more effective. And so that may be similar in this, that it might unfold in a similar fashion. I'm not saying Loma's in his prime. If he was, this Tank fight would be a total mismatch. What I'm saying is that he has not declined nearly enough to favor Tank, in my opinion. Well, it's not that I'm favoring Tank Davis, but when you talk about a puncher who's not just a puncher, Tank Davis is not a Deontay Wilder, right? He's a skilled fighter and has speed, a great counterpuncher with devastating power. He's always going to be a threat. And when you see some of the punches that he lands effectively are punches that Lomachenko could get hit by. Styles make fights, man. Styles make fights, right? A lot of the people thought would beat Tank Davis were longer fighters with crisp jabs who are going to be able to control the distance keep Tank Davis at bay, not allow him to counter punch effectively. And because he doesn't throw a lot of punches, he would eventually lose the fight just because he would be outlanded, right? Lomachenko is not that kind of fighter. He's going to bring the fight to Tank Davis, which could be dangerous. Kind of similar to when he fought Teofimo Lopez, and for the first 6 or 7 rounds, didn't really open up too much because it was dangerous. But let's get moving. Round 4. Sean, is Tank versus Monster possible at 130? It does seem like that's potentially what people are talking about. I just see that apparently Anui was coming out saying that Tank Davis is a very good fighter, but he thinks that he's not that complex and that he could beat him. So the fight obviously would have to happen at like 130, maybe 132. Only 6 likes, guys. Get him up. There's 9 of you. The least you can do is give me a like, even if you hate my guts. But round 4, obviously we know how this fight unfolds, but it's just nice to watch Lomachenko in the ring. Obviously, his career is not going to be lasting that much longer. So we got to savor and enjoy it while we can. I'm still really disappointed that I can't show the fight and then just stop it to discuss it. As I said, we see videos and movie reviews where guys do that every day on YouTube. This fight I'm watching on YouTube. It's not Top Rank. It's a stolen fucking feed on a different channel. And meanwhile, it's showing, it's not closed. But when I show my video, all of a sudden YouTube feels the need to close me. I don't understand that shit. Nah, I hate John Boxing's guts and cowardiceness. Loma ain't the underdog in my eyes. And if he is by the bookies, I'll put some money up. Alex Al, how can Tank Stank declare Loma the underdog all in the same sentence? Salute, good morning. What's up, my man? Stylistically, I always thought Loma would be Tank's worst nightmare. I did too. Nice jab from Lomachenko. Good left to the body from or right hand to the body from George Kambosos, which could be a good punch for Tank Davis. See, the one good thing about Lomachenko, when we talk about him fighting Tank Davis, a lot of times Tank Davis benefits from guys putting their punch out there, committing to their punch, right, which he can then counter. Lomachenko is not that kind of fighter that really commits to his punches. Short, crisp, he's not going out there trying to land big shots, trying to knock him out and over-committing to punches, putting himself off balance and putting himself out of position. So that's obviously a big benefit as well. Pound for Pound King, what's up? Hey, Sean, what's going on? Not much, my man. I hate John Boxing, where we say you're coming to hate on young Billy Boxing. Alonzo, what's your opinion on Peruser being the best man at John Boxing's wedding in 2014? Alex L has put money up because Loma will be a heavy underdog. I'm not answering till you do. People in the comment section going back and forth. So let's look at these punch stats. So through 4 rounds, Lomachenko 53-14. Obviously, the first round, we know Lomachenko is not a guy that comes out quick. Even though against Tank Davis, he'll benefit by being more aggressive early on, because Tank Davis obviously allows guys to sort of take advantage and win rounds early. Taking those early rounds, getting them under his belt is definitely a benefit, because if he beats Tank Davis, it's going to be by decision. So you don't want to waste any rounds. You need to capitalize as much as you can. kind of like when Sugar Ray Leonard fought Marvin Hagler, right? And really stole those first 2 or 3 rounds. So 7-3, 11-2, 14-8, and the last round, a masterclass, 21-1. Obviously, now Lomachenko is starting to rock. Haney still taking L's. Damn, I always have to be ready for your live. Maybe you should do notifications. To be truthful, I just sat here and when I was scrolling through YouTube on my TV, I saw the fight and I thought, oh, I should rewatch it. Why don't I go live? And then we can chop it up and talk about it as we go along. Hell yeah. Hard Recoil, thanks for stopping by. So round 5, Lomachenko. Lomachenko. See if he can capitalize off of round 4's dominance. Nice left hook from Kambosos. See, Kambosos, I don't understand what he did in this fight. He should have been a lot more aggressive, doubled up his jab, and just really went at Lomachenko, right? And really tried to pressure him, especially early on in the fight when we know that Lomachenko is going to be a little tentative, feeling you out, and not overcommitting. But that's the problem with Kambosos. Fucking Lomachenko straight left down the middle is just killing George, killing him. I love that kind of punch from the southpaw, kind of like Pacquiao, when you take your head off the angle and just throw it straight out there, right? So you can't really counter punch it very well. I think when Lomachenko fights Tank, he should do that a little more like Pacquiao did. Really exaggerate the head movement off the line and that punch up, kind of like an up jab. I think that punch could really fucking do some damage to Tank Davis. Sean, have you feel about that clown J.J. Redick getting the Lakers job with 0 coaching history? I don't think it's that big of a deal. I see people make a big deal out of it because he's white. So, of course, that's why they make a big deal, kind of like when Steve Nash was in the same position. But when it was a black ex-player who got positions with no coaching experience, people didn't have the same energy. Personally, I don't care. We know how the NBA coaching fucking situation goes. It's just like a constant changing situation. I mean, look at the guy from Detroit who just got fired, right? Surprisingly, people feel it was premature, undeserving, but that shit happens constantly. Redick, we know why Redick is getting the job. Nepotism. Because of his relationship with fucking LeBron James. The Lakers want to keep LeBron James there, so they want to put a coach that he's comfortable with, kind of like what the Nets did when they had Steve Nash, because both Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted him. And yet we see how that happens when things don't go your way. The coach is the first person to nice punch by Loma. The coach is the first person to get like his head chopped off and get all the blame. And the truth is, for Redick, potentially it could be a very short career as a coach. But, you know, it's not like he needs it. I think a lot of reason he's doing it is because of his relationship with LeBron James. He respects him, and he thinks he could really work with him, right? And maybe he can. It's not because he's white. He's a Clutch client. That's LeBron's sports agency. Well, yeah. But, I mean, we know that that's why he's getting on there, because of his relationship with LeBron. It's funny because when you listen to a lot of the commentators, one of the things they're really talking about is they hope that they still do their show, because that would be truly interesting to have the coach, the star player, still do a podcast about basketball when they're literally doing it. I can't imagine that it's going to happen, because I obviously think JJ is going to be way too busy. But people really look forward to it. They think it could be great TV. I bet John Boxing hates Caitlin Clark. Of course he does. Of course he does. I'm sure he feels she's only getting attention because she's white and that she's a hype job and overrated. He'll be happy today that Angel Reese's team beat Caitlin Clark's team. I can't wait until the bum LeBron retires. I got my Hennessy ready. It'll be soon. Obviously, he wants to have at least a little bit of a career with his son, but I can't imagine any team drafting his son and actually playing him. The guy's like 6'2", 6'3". He's not a shooting guard. He's not really long. He was the guy that got outplayed in high school by Reed Shepherd, who obviously is going to go very high in this year's draft. The only reason LeBron's son's getting drafted is because he's LeBron James' son. So round 6. It really shows you footwork. You know, the problem with Kambosos is he just has slow, plodding footwork. Even with the new trainer, he still, every time his foot's on the inside, so he's not in great position to land good shots. When he throws, he's already sort of, getting in the way of his punches, so he's not able to really land them effectively or efficiently. Whereas, of course, Lomachenko has sublime footwork. And every time he steps there, he's always on the right side and open. It's interesting when they show that overview camera angle. Then you really get a good view of the angles. Nice jab from Loma. Headbutt. That's the best punch you landed, George. That's a good left hand from George to the body. George did some good work to the body, that's for sure. That's probably the best thing he did all fight. Based on that, he should have won this fight. I mean, Devin Haney, that helped him win, so it should have helped George as well. If it would have went to the cards, he probably would have won. We know Loma does not get cards going his fucking way. He just does not get that black privilege. Right, John? Lomachenko doesn't get that black privilege, just like fucking Golovkin and Kovalev. What are you talking about, George? That wasn't behind the head. Lomachenko. It's going to be sad when he retires. Golovkin is gone, right? You know, that's the problem. You know, Roman Gonzalez. I know he's sparring right now with Bam Rodriguez, so we're going to get to see him come back. I heard he wants to go up to bantamweight and try to become a 5-weight world champion. It'll be interesting. Obviously, there's a few opponents up there that would make potentially good fights. So we'll see what happens. Salute, Machado. Kambosos is being milked because he's a draw in Australia. Dude is terrible. Loma proved that level he's on, easily stopping the guy Hanky went 24 rounds with. Well, that's true, right? I mean, styles do make fights, but one of the criticisms towards Haney was that he didn't have power. And people didn't know how well he was going to translate moving forward into bigger weight divisions when he didn't have power at lower weight divisions. It's kind of looking at like a guy like Leo Santa Cruz, right? He won because he was a volume puncher and he outworked guys. But he didn't have the power to really be elite. Like a Lomachenko isn't a huge fucking power puncher, but he still has, 12 knockouts in 16 wins, 17 wins, right? Because volume punching, putting his punches together. He could have more knockouts. He should have got Comey out of there. He could have easily got Campbell out of there. Petraza, right? You know, he easily could have had more fighters. Even Salido, he had Salido almost out in the 12th round. Even Teofimo Lopez, he almost had out. He also almost had Haney out. A couple more well-positioned punches, and those fights could have easily been TKOs on his resume. But he's not a power puncher. Haney, the problem with him is he hasn't had a knockout fucking since he fought Moran. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, how long ago was that? Round 7. The good thing for Loma, of course, he's getting some rounds in this fight, but, you know, this doesn't really help you too much for a Tank Davis fight. A swing and a miss. Kambosos is down. That just shows you the great footwork. You miss and you fall down. And Lomachenko didn't go to the body nearly as much as he should have in this fight, even with the spear jab, right? Which I like. It's a good weapon. There you go. The left to the body, straight. Spear him with that. Nice left down the middle. That was a good hook to the body from Loma. Another straight left to the body. Now he's going to the body. And of course, that's how he ended up getting the knockout. Oh, that was a good body shot. George's legs looking heavy. Mm. Rounds over. Best punch George landed was a headbutt to Lomachenko's face. Did G.K.J formally retire? I think he did. I think he did. I made Artman mad when I asked him to name a Haney opponent he's beaten that wasn't a lot smaller than him. Haney's the only man to not drop or stop Gamboa. Exactly. And that was a huge thing when that happened because Gamboa has lost every single fight by getting stopped, even when he lost to a guy with double-digit losses before fighting Tank Davis. The fact that Haney couldn't stop Gamboa. Sean, what do you think about Regis Prograis versus Jack Catrell fight? I was going to do a short on that. I think it's a great fight. What they need to do is let Haney wear a helmet or let him fight against Trans. He could fight Trans. That would be good. The Trans boxing channel. It'll be big in America. You guys love that shit. I'm sure Thailand will dominate. So round 8. Isn't this the round that he knocks him out? Isn't that ironic if this is the 8th round? Loma stops Kambosos. I can't remember. But if it was the 8th round, and obviously Tank Davis stopped Martin in the 8th round. A clubbing right hand from George Kambosos. Good left. Oh, nice hook from Loma, taking the angle. I think Lomachenko got us train with James Toney just so he can be inside and be more effective inside. So when he does get inside, he doesn't have to come back out, come back in, but he can capitalize inside on guys, right? By using his subtle footwork and just being inside where guys can't throw their punches and he can just wear them down. James Toney, what a master on the inside. Him and fucking Duran. Jesus Christ. Those guys could be 40 years old, 50 pounds overweight, and still go 12 rounds with a world champion. George throwing the combination to the body. Big left hand from Loma. That's a good straight punch from you, George. A few more straight punches would have been beneficial for you. I like this Japanese ref. Stays out of the fucking picture. Not like all these Americans, always fucking heavy handed and everything. Good straight left from Loma. Nice right hand. He's landing some clean shots. Clean. Okay, so it wasn't the eighth round. I forgot. Reed Shepard is a stud. You can say that Gamboa was fighting with one leg versus Tank. What's the second round on and made the 12th before getting stopped? Pitbull is the only one who really ran him over. Well, he's got knocked out in every loss that he had. That's just true. I don't see what everyone else sees in Tank. Really? Prime Roy at middleweight arguably beats all those fighters. Who are all those fighters? I wouldn't take anybody over Prime Roy Jones. He made Tony look like an amateur. Yeah, but we got to be fair. We know that Tony was struggling to make weight because that was him, right? We did not see the best version of Tony against Roy, but Roy was a sublime fighter for sure. Alex, he's legendary power, but you don't see from 126 to 140 like that. How do you tell the difference between different Asian people? Easy. Has been down 16 or 17 times. If Devin body attack hurt Loma, just imagine. Well, Snoopy, Devin is a different kind of fighter than Tank Davis. He has quite a massive reach advantage, something Tank Davis doesn't have. So it's not going to be as easy for Tank Davis to get into range to land body shots without actually also being open for straight counter shots down the middle. Let's just take a quick look at the things. Round 9. I think after Loma really hurt his shoulder, his right hand hasn't been as good as it used to be. He used to have a good right hand that he used as a hook, but now he doesn't use it as much as he once did. The writing's on the wall, George. You can run, but you can't hide. So Tank Davis, 5'5.5" with a 67.5 inch reach, which isn't bad for a midget. His reach is longer than Lomachenko's, but quite a bit shorter than Devin Haney, who's at least 71. So it's like a 4-inch difference between arm reach. 4 inches, that's big. That means you got to commit with your feet, right? Once you commit with your feet as Tank Davis, a counter puncher, that means now you're allowing the fighter who leads punch to be more aggressive and land clean, effective punches against you. When you look at Cambos's body, it looks like he could have probably put more weight on as well, because he looks smaller than Lomachenko. Maybe not in height, but just in muscularity. Round 9. So let's look at Lomachenko. Where are we? G.K.J, Ray Robinson, Hopkins, Hagler, or Monzon. All great, right? All great. But by putting G.K.J on that list, you'll get a lot of hate because you're obviously a racist. Uh, James Toney ever beats? No way James Toney ever beats Roy. Well, Snoopy, you know, people could say that there was no way he's going to beat fucking Michael Nunn, but he did beat Michael Nunn. When did Loma show Haney's body shots hurt him? Loma was never hurt versus Haney. Tank fanboys are going to learn the hard way after all the years of Loma disrespect. They really think he's going to run through Loma. That's why these body shots were not effective punches, because they wouldn't broken him down towards the end of the fight, but instead Loma had the best rounds in the 10th and 11th. Well, you think about uh, the Salido fight. Salido punched Lomachenko in the balls a million fucking times. And yet in the 12th round, the guy that had more going for him was Lomachenko, who dropped and hurt Salido and looked on the edge of potentially getting him out of that fight. Wow, that straight left was nice from Loma. Crisp. You can see mental tiredness really affects people, right? Because it's amazing how when guys are tired and they don't have much left, they get hit by fucking clean shots that you think they should see coming a mile away. Round 10, Cambose's fate looks like it's been through the meat grinder. Michael Nunn was a great fighter. You say he was never on that level, but he was being compared as a Sugar Ray Leonard. The big talk was potentially him against Leonard. He was being fucking hyped up huge. You imagine Michael Nunn in this era of boxing fan, a black fighter at middleweight that fucking had the boxing ability that he had and also had a bit of pop. Man, people would be putting him on pound for pound number one list. And then they'd be moaning and groaning that fucking white boxing fans are racist because they don't give Michael Nunn the respect he deserves. You know, Michael Nunn was a great fighter. And only after actually beating James Toney in that fight, basically being close to winning, but then getting caught and knocked the fuck out, was he exposed. Yet that shit happens, man. The problem that killed him was the drugs and everything else that ended up happening in his career. Kind of like Donald Curry as well. But Michael Nunn, go back and watch some of his fights. He was a fucking good boxer. Tall, long, you know, great footwork, great jab, surprising pop on his punches. He was one of my favorite fighters back in the day. I was fucking broken when I fucking heard that Tony beat him. Because Tony was good, but he was getting all this attention because his manager was a woman, right? Literally, that's why he was getting most of his attention, because his manager was a woman. Fucking George looks like he got nothing left, man. His gas tank is running. Where are we? The ref stops Loma in the 12th and says headbutt, but they didn't hit each other. Tank has been a low output fighter for years. Now, in order to conserve energy, Loma won't allow him to wait. Didn't Nunn go to prison for sexual assault? I don't know if it was. I don't think it was sexual assault. I think it was cocaine, selling cocaine. Same thing. I think that fucked over Donald Curry as well. Hmm. Yeah, no. That ref was fucking terrible, and he fucking robbed that fight away from Lomachenko. Lomachenko should never have lost to fucking Salido. He should have been a champion and should have been facing Gary Russell for unification. And then he should have fought Nicholas Walters in unification, but Nicholas Walters ended up fucking it up by losing his title by being too fat on the scale. And now people give Lomachenko no credit for beating Nicholas Walters. It's like, fuck you guys, man. Nicholas Walter was seen as the monster from 126 to 130. And only because Lomachenko beat him, now he gets no credit at all. 157 punches landed to 38. I think they're being disingenuous. I think Kambosos landed more than 38 punches. He threw a lot of body shots. Some of those must have landed. There you go. That was a body shot right there from George. Round 11. Lomachenko double tripping up his jab. Trying to get George stuck in that corner to unwind with body shots. See, I think Loma could use his jab much more than he does. Good right hand. Oh, that was a nice punch. Kind of a Kodo fucking up jab on George. George's game. You got to give him that. He's game, but just outmatched. I wonder who George is going to fight next. Dropped, but of course that wasn't counted, even though it was a punch that dropped him. Oh, I was way off. Who do you see Shakur signing with after the Artem fight? Oh, come on. I missed that. One more time. So they didn't count that punch that dropped him. But meanwhile, then he comes out and knocks him down officially afterwards. See, that punch was a shot, man. Come on, Japanese ref. Almost like, come on. The dude's hurt. Oh, that body punch. Oh, that body punch. That's why I say you can see dudes are done because how do you get hit by a fucking body shot? The guy runs at you and throws it so far away. Fucking body shot again. Fights over. Lomachenko, the body snatcher. He is the body snatcher. The reincarnation of fucking Mike McCullum. Yeah, Nunn got his 24 years for cocaine. 20 fucking 4 years. Kambosos has only fought 2 southpaws before fighting Loma. That's never a good thing. So where's Loma? Lomachenko. I wouldn't mind seeing George Kambosos fight somebody like, who's the guy from Golden Boy? The black kid. Fights a little like Sean Porter. Mugabe was a sexual assault guy, I think. I don't know if it was Mugabe. I know the heavyweight guy from Nigeria, he was a sexual assault guy and a fucking mental case. Great fighter, though. Lomachenko, 65 and a half. So Tank Davis is going to be an inch and a half shorter than Lomachenko, but he's going to have about a 2-inch reach advantage over Lomachenko, which isn't really going to be that big of a deal compared to how Lomachenko's been fighting guys with 70, 71, 72-inch reaches. Kambosos versus Frank Martin. Well, that'd be a good fight. They're both coming off of losses, but I don't know if Cambos is going to want to take a dangerous guy like that coming off of a loss. Maybe he'd better to move up in weight and try to win an IBF world title by fighting his cohort down under, right? In Liam Paro. Frank Martin versus Keyshawn, pretty good. That's a great fight. But obviously, you'd like to see Frank Martin come back with a win. What's up, Roy? Kambosos has fought better opposition at 135 than Tank has. Well, he has Haney, Lomachenko, and Lopez. 3 elite fighters. Hence, you get beat because when you're fighting elite fighters, potentially that's what might happen. But what are they saying now? That maybe potentially Keyshawn Davis is going to be fighting Dennis Baranchek. Now that he's ranked number 3, obviously Muratalla is there and so is Zepeda, but Zepeda is Lomachenko's mandatory. Obviously, if he doesn't get a fight with Tank Davis, then potentially we could see Lomachenko versus William Zepeda. That would be a fucking dynamite fight, right? William Zepeda, the style of fighter he is, it'd be interesting to see how Lomachenko could cope with that kind of pressure, right? And as far as Baranchek, obviously he's a very experienced fighter, but not a great fighter. But for a guy like Keyshawn Davis, it'd be a good test, right? And to potentially become a world champion, one-weight world champion, joining Loma, Tank, and Shakur. He's in with the big boys that might be biting off more than he can chew, but at the same time, he doesn't need to try to unify. He could do what Tank Davis did and say, I'm too young. I don't need to unify. Not yet, right? Obviously, for Shakur, I think really if Top Rank is going to re-sign him, they're going to want to make his fight with Dennis Baranchek a unification fight. Obviously, it's not a big money fight, but we know Top Rank likes to put guys in positions to win titles, to unify. This would be the second time for Shakur to unify titles. And obviously right now, then he'd be a prime opponent for the winner of Tank Davis Lomachenko for undisputed, right? Cross our fingers. That would be the perfect scenario. And hopefully that's the way it unfolds. But you never can tell. You never can tell. Tank needs a stoppage on Loma to close decision win. Won't do it for a lot of fans. Well, if Tank Davis goes out there and wins a close decision to Lomachenko, it's just going to prove that he blatantly ducked Lomachenko because Lomachenko would have beat him, right? Keyshawn already called Martin out. Good fight, but I'd favor Keyshawn. I favor Keyshawn. I think he's got more tools than Frank Martin, but that's a fucking hell of a step-up fight for Keyshawn Davis. In 2 years, Kambosos has done more than Tank has done in 10 years. Pound for pound king, yes, sir. This week, I heard from fanboys that Crawford is ducking Spence rematch. Inouye is ducking MJ, and Tank is the GOAT at lightweight. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Stupid motherfuckers make those claims. You're going to say Crawford's ducking Spence, but he already fucking fought Spence. Spence walked away from the rematch. It wasn't Crawford that walked away from the rematch. So how the fuck is Crawford ducking Spence? Crawford's fighting a world champion. Errol Spence is talking about fighting a world champion, but who knows what he's going to do. As far as MJ, that's the same thing I said in my video before. It doesn't matter who Inouye fights because the people hating on him, they don't even know who MJ is. And even if he fought MJ, they wouldn't give him any credit for it. So he might as well fight fucking the Irish guy because it doesn't matter what he does. Even when he moves up to 126 and tries to become a 5-weight world champion, they're going to say, well, none of those guys are elite fighters. He should go up and fight Tank Davis. So, those guys are just fucking haters. That's all they are. Do you think Devin, who struggles to make 140, should drop the belt and move to 147 instead of taking 1.5 million purse for the Sandor Martin fight? The truth of the situation is he probably would benefit from fighting Sandor Martin, a light punching fighter who he could look good against, a guy stylistically that he's got a lot of benefits against. He could build his confidence, and then chase bigger fights afterwards. For him to jump up and think about trying to get a fight with, say, Mario Barros at 147, Mario Barros probably is going to fucking beat him. Because coming off of a loss and the ass beating he took, mentally, you need a fucking easy fight. Mario Barros is not going to be an easy fight. Devin wants that Ryan rematch payday. He does. He's going to sit out and wait just so he can get a fucking Ryan Garcia fight for no title, right? But all these people that talk about titles and this and that, it's ironic that Lomachenko ducked Devin Haney, but Devin Haney didn't duck Shakur, and he's not going to duck Sandor Martin, right? Dudes are so fucking full of shit. They're such liars. If they would just be consistent, then nobody could criticize them because you'd be holding everybody to the same fucking smoke, but they don't. Tio should be fighting Keyshawn next, not this Kagat guy. Keyshawn knocked out his dad, for fuck's sakes. Well, let's be serious. Why would Lopez fight Keyshawn Davis, a 135-pound fighter? For Keyshawn, of course, he wants every big name because that's how he's going to market himself and build himself up. But why would Lopez fight Keyshawn Davis? People have no common sense and just want to start arguments when the facts are right in front of them. That's the truth. That's the truth. People fucking just say stupid shit because they know they're not going to be held accountable for it. Look at John Boxing as an example. The things he says are fucking ridiculous. But he knows he can blatantly lie and no one's going to fucking hold him accountable. And if you do, he's just going to try to shut your channel down. Pound for pound king. Oh, I'd like to see that go down. Haney as an undisputed champion, technically never unified since he got email sent by email. Then he beat the first champion to get another 3 belts that Lomachenko unified. Well, he unified, right? But he did it in the same fashion that Jermaine Taylor did by beating B-Hop. Junto Nakatani at 118 and Nui has at least 2 more fights at 122. So do we see this fight? That's the fight I want to see. I want to see, obviously, they already have the 2 fights this year against Goodman, who is a 2 sanctioning body unified champion. Where is it? Let's just scroll down and take a peek. So you can see here, Sam Goodman is the IBF and the WBO mandatory. So obviously that was a fight that was always going to happen. And as far as Dehaney, well, that was just a fight to be made because obviously he's fought his last 3 fights in Japan and he has some name recognition for the Japanese audience. But I would love to see him fight MJ, which I think is the best opponent that he's fought in his career. And then Junto Nakatani, especially if Junto knocks out his brother to unified titles at bantamweight and then moves up to take on the older brother. That shit will be the biggest fight in Japanese boxing history. I mean, Inui does not need a fucking American audience because what he could do in Japan is going to be fucking revolutionary, stuff that's never been done before. A Japanese fighter fighting in front of 55,000 people, never done before. You needed a Black American heavyweight champion to do that, Mike Tyson. Japanese boxers weren't doing that, but Inui is. And now you go and you fight Nakatani in a Sugar Ray Leonard, fucking Tommy Hearns, fucking mega fight in Japan. That shit's crazy. That shit's crazy. And only real boxing fans actually fucking even care about this fight because they're so full of shit. They'll continue to say he needs to move to 135 and fight Tank Davis. And Tank Davis needs to move up to 168 to fight fucking Canelo Alvarez. Tio, I thought, ducked Devin to fight Kambosos. Snoopy, see, right there you show your ignorance. How did Tio duck Devin Haney to fight Kambosos? Please explain that to me in detail. Harder Cole, remember when Dante's Boxing Nation Ake said Charlo and Haney had better undisputed runs than Usyk and Canelo? Fucking imagine that. You beat George Kambosos and you have a better run than fucking Usyk at cruiserweight. What are you, mental? If I mandated Kambosos to fight the winner of Loma and Lopez, so that's not true. Exactly, Wayne Evans. School this guy. Before Lomachenko even fought Teofimo Lopez, Kambosos was already mandated by the IBF. And we know how the IBF works. So obviously their fight was a unification fight, should have been for undisputed. But of course the WBC fucked that up because they played into this Devin Haney bullshit and gave him fucking an email title and created a belt that was useless. Did you see Caitlin Clark's game last night? Doesn't seem like she has the green light. She looked like John Stockton, though. Nice passes. What do you mean she doesn't have the green light? Of course she does. But for them to win, she can't just be shooting lights out. She got to work the big girls. The problem is the big girls got their asses handed to them last night by Reese and fucking that 6'7" girl from fucking South Carolina. When you have privilege, private school boys in boxing, you get sued instead of a rematch. T.O. did say he was going to send a contract to both guys and whoever gets back to him with the offer. That's irrelevant. The IBF had already mandated. T.O. can say what he wants, but that's just him talking out his ass. T.O. and Devin were building that fight, so why not unify the belts instead of fighting Cambo? Cambo was mandated by the IBF before Lomachenko and Lopez fought. They're not going to then allow fucking Lopez to fight Haney to unify when they already mandated the fight before this fight happened. It was already the fight that was scheduled. I made videos back then saying that well before Devin Haney was even fucking in the conversation. Because everyone knew Kambosos was the mandatory. Tio did say he was going to send a contract to both guys. Yeah, but only Lomachenko is expected to fight elites after a loss. Unification versus Mando. Snoopy, shake your head for a minute, man. Yeah, unification. Lomachenko and Lopez was the fucking unification. And after that, the winner had to fight the IBF mandatory. See, you can't have this kind of stupid argument because this is the same kind of people that say that Canelo Alvarez ducked fucking Andrade. Yet we know exactly what happened. The IBF mandated fucking their fighter, Derevchenko, before G.K.J. Canelo 2. And they said that if Golovkin fought Martirosyan instead, then what they were going to do was strip the winner if they didn't fight Derevchenko after the victory. And that's what they did. Even though they negotiated with Derevchenko, who priced himself out, and the IBF still, knowing that he priced himself out, still stripped Canelo and walked away from unification to strip Canelo Alvarez. Right? But people love to imagine things and just not fucking be honest. Just fucking be honest. That's it. Stop imagining things could happen this way. No, they can't, because you need to put the paperwork in at a certain point before you can actually do something. And that's the difference. How are you going to put the paperwork in for Lopez and fucking Haney when the fucking fight was already mandated before Lopez beat Lomachenko? Is it true Haney won't delete his loss from the Zone and YouTube? That's pathetic. It really exposes his rigged career. Is it true Haney wants? Haney's loss should be deleted. Historically, that's what happens. What happened to Robert Guerrero when he ended up getting beat by Orlando Salido? The same Orlando Salido people love to say is a bum, a taxi driver. Lomachenko lost to that fucking guy. Well, so did Robert Guerrero, who Floyd Mayweather fought, and Floyd Mayweather fans acted like, oh my God, Floyd's fighting fucking Robert Guerrero. Holy fuck, what an elite fucking opponent. This is a guy that already got beat by fucking Orlando Salido. But because Orlando Salido tested positive for PEDs, the fight was a no contest. Guerrero had the loss taken off of his resume. That's what happens. Just like it should happen here. Devin Haney should not have a loss if we know that Ryan Garcia was cheating. And we do know that. Devin, a huge right now, looks like he could take on Opataya. Devin always balloons up, but he's not a weight bully because, of course, he's a Black American, and Black Americans are never weight bullies. Never. I mean, his videos to be deleted. What videos? The videos of him getting beat by Ryan Garcia? Good luck with that. This is not fucking when Deontay Wilder got fucking knocked down or knocked out back in the day, and you could instantaneously fucking, hide the video. Or when Arnold Schwarzenegger made that movie, Hercules Goes Bananas. Have you guys seen that movie? Go see if you can find it. Like literally Schwarzenegger and Hollywood producers fucking got those copies and got rid of all of them because they didn't want anybody to see those fucking terrible movies. I do remember Lucas Brown won his fight, got popped for clenbuterol, got suspended, and stripped the title, but kept his win. Really? Fuck, eh? Guess different rules for different places. Well, that's pretty pathetic that you're going to give a guy a win, even though you strip him of his title and he tests positive for clenbuterol. And the funny thing with him, I think that was probably the second or third time he'd actually been caught using PEDs, right? But, that's the thing what people are critical about these sanctioning bodies because they're full of shit. They're not fucking, what's the word? When everything is in front of you and you know how things are going to be decided because there's a plan in place already. But that's the problem with these guys. They're not like that. So things change depending on fighters, depending on promoters, and everything else. And that shit's a bad look for boxing. That's why I say get rid of all those boxing promoters. Saudi Arabia, buy them all out, fucking cancel them all, and just create one. That's it. Just create the WBA title or whatever it is, and then cut the rest loose, get rid of the people in charge, and just make it a worldwide boxing federation with these fucking rules in place, regardless of what country or anything else. And if you break protocol, this is what happens, this is what happens, this is what happens, this is what happens. It's fucking there in black and white. So you and I know what the results are, the boxers know what the results are, and the rest of it is fucking BS. Guess, where are we? Do you think Ryan's suspension was fair, or do you think 2 years? Whatever. Fuck, man. Whatever. I don't care. Literally, I don't give a shit about that. It's not my decision. It's their decision. I mean, 2 years, whatever. Devin Haney said he's going to retire for 2 years so he could do the rematch. Now, of course, he only has to wait 1 year to do the rematch. We know the next fight both those dudes are going to have is going to be against each other. So let's just hope the WBC strips Devin Haney of his 140-pound title so at least fucking Puello can fight somebody for that belt and we can keep moving forward. Any fights you are excited for? Bam Estrada undercard. I didn't see the undercard. I don't think I've seen the undercard. Have I? Maybe I'm sleeping on the job. Superfly. I clicked on it. What's wrong with you? You fucking high? Superfly? What? Look at that. Fucking Kosei Galaxy, 47-1. Roman Gonzalez, Ioka, fucking Estrada. It's a good list of fucking dudes, man. Here we go. The event. Oh, I did see that my boy Sonny Edwards is going to be fighting. I'm pretty excited about that. I know Sonny Edwards is on it. Yeah, I saw that he's doing it. That's good, right? You know. So Estrada, Jesse Bam, that's a great fight. Arturo Popoco, 13-0-1 against Danny Borre Flores. Don't know who those guys are. Yamel Machado against, oh, that's a woman fight. Gabriel Matala versus Carlos Fontes. Don't know. Yeah, man. I look at that card, and there's two fights on the whole card that I'm familiar with. Sonny Edwards versus Adrian Correll. That's a fucking great matchup, man. That's a great fucking matchup. Adrian Correll's a good fighter. Obviously, he just beat Noshinga, undefeated champion, became the champion, ended up losing in the rematch. Excuse me. But obviously, it was a good fight. Went 10 rounds. Noshingo ended up getting the win, and now he's bouncing back after that loss to fight Sonny Edwards. That shit's going to be solid. So those two fights obviously are going to be interesting. Ramala Ali, she's a good fighter, but women's boxing, I mean, I don't really care too much about that. So nothing I'm too interested in except for the two main fights. I bet Haney doesn't do the Martin fight. The purse bid was very low compared to what he expects as a minimum. Well, that was the one point he made that I do give him credit for being true about. Because of the loss to Ryan Garcia, he lost a little bit of credibility and shine, right? So he is getting lowballed in the fights now because of that. That's true. So, he did lose out financially because of the loss to Ryan Garcia. And now he's going to be making less money because of that loss. Even though he's still a WBC champion, that's why I say go out there, beat Sandor Martin. I mean, how much money do you think Teofimo Lopez got when he fought Sandor Martin? Probably the same amount of money, right? But he did it because he had to do it. And then you move forward and get a Taylor fight where you made more money, even though he didn't make that much money. And then you move towards bigger fights. Like, you beat Sandor Martin, and then you can go fight Teofimo Lopez next on pay-per-view, right? And that fight would do good, especially because you did get knocked down multiple times to Garcia, and Teo has legitimate power. So people are going to think, fuck, man, if Garcia could do that to you, Lopez could do that to you. So there's going to be a big intrigue to see how that fight unfolds. Of course, a while back, people would think that Haney would just outbox him because we know that Lopez struggled with boxers, right? So I think that fight would be big. Obviously, you need to take the Sandor Martin fight now. Bite the fucking bullet. You take the fight, and you make a relationship with Top Rank, which is going to smooth out a fight between you and Lopez. And that's exactly what fucking Bob Arum wants. He said, okay, if you don't want this fight, you can just drop the title and I'll give you the fucking Lopez fight, right? But then again, you're coming off of a loss. Mentally, you're going to be a little fragile. You need to get a win under your belt just so you have some faith in your chin. So go beat Sandor Martin, get that 1.5, 1.6, get rounds in, get sharp, and then go fight fucking Lopez on pay-per-view. What's the problem? I mean, this is the problem with boxers today, though. They're all fucking pampered, fucking millennials, Gen Z people. Devin Haney is probably going to take a long break to get his confidence back. But that ain't going to build his confidence back. Taking a long break just means all the hard work you've put in to become the level of fighter you are now, you're going to fucking slide back. You're going to gain a bunch of weight, and then you're going to fucking literally come back at a weight that you shouldn't come back at, where now your power or lack of power is going to be that much more obvious. There's no guarantee that Devin can beat Sandor Martin. Of course, there's no guarantee. But stylistically, you'd have to give Devin Haney a lot of advantages over Sandor Martin. It ain't fucking like Lopez, who struggles with boxers. Devin Haney's not going to struggle with a boxer. Sandor arguably beat Teal and dropped him. Estrada versus Bam this Saturday. Who you got? And if you're looking forward, I'm super looking forward to it. Are you giving Claggett any legit shot versus beating Teal? No, that dude's not going to last 6 rounds. But it's fine. Teal's had hard fights. He deserves easy fights in there too, like everybody else does. Um, I have to favor Bam Rodriguez to beat Estrada at this point because of Estrada's long hiatus. And I think Bam sparring and working with fucking Roman Gonzalez and his experience of actually being in the ring with Estrada 3 times is going to be really beneficial. So I do think Bam's going to win. But, I kind of hope Estrada wins because that is a huge fucking historical victory for Estrada. And because of that, it's a huge historical victory for Roman Gonzalez because, Roman Gonzalez really deserved to beat Estrada 2 times. That second fight was the easiest fight out of all of them. And to be robbed on the cards was pure fucking bullshit. But obviously, if Estrada beats this version of Bam Rodriguez, that looks great for Roman Gonzalez, being a guy that beat Estrada previously. And then we could potentially get an Ioka fight versus Estrada for unification, which I think would be a great fight. And for Bam, he's still young. So if it's a competitive fight where he loses a close fight, I don't think it really hurts him. Be right back. Richard says Bam wins. Fighters usually fight once a year, so this 1-year ban for Ryan is meaningless because they still want his money. Of course they still want his money. Estrada being 34 and 18 months inactive worries me. Yeah, it's a big issue. What is Janabek doing? Maybe Carlos Adames fight, or does he move to 168? Drunk Irishman's in the house. What's up, my man? I hope Adames and Janabek fight. That would be the perfect scenario for both of them. What are they going to do otherwise, right? And then you have the Hamzed Shiraz, the UK fighter, who's also a very good opponent for Janabek as well. And then after you get those victories, even if you don't become undisputed, becoming 3-belt unified is still great. Beating 2 really good opponents and then moving to 168, which at that time, Canelo probably won't be really there anymore in a year and a half. And there'll be the whole new crew of people. And then you can jump in there with the Munguias, Berlangas, Beck Melikuzievs, fucking the Cubans, and it'll be interesting. But, boys, I wonder if Shakur fighting another bum. Well, he is fighting a bum in his next fight. Do you see Opataya Zerto next? No, I don't think so. Isn't the British fighter going to fight Zerto next? Right? I think that's what's going to happen. 1 year is not meaningless. It's bad for Ryan. He didn't make weight last time. Certainly won't after 1 year. He'll come back a welterweight. Well, the fight's going to happen at welterweight for Haney and Ryan. Because Haney's also going to be too fat on the scales. So look forward to both of them fighting for no belt at welterweight, but it won't matter. It'll still do more than 500,000 buys, and they'll both make big cash. So they're both going to be happy. And if it's a win for Haney, then it opens up a trilogy fight. So these guys are like, this is probably the best thing that could have fucking happened to us. And it probably is. And we're going to have the same fucking usual suspects all over YouTube talking this shit up for the next year. All for clickbait. But everyone, peace out. I'm going to eat my dinner and chillax. Thanks everyone for jumping in and joining me on this Lomachenko rewatch. We will be watching boxing this weekend The Bam Rodriguez fight is on DAZN, so I will be going live watch for that fight. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, look forward to those 2 fights, Sonny Edwards and the Mexican opponent. And then obviously Bam Estrada is a great fight. So I'll see you there. Peace out, everyone. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.